But what I wanted to just mention for the next few minutes, and it's probably stuff you know, but it's always good to be reminded of things, is the food-mood connection. There's such a connection between foods we eat and the moods we are in. And I think it's a very real thing for mothers when their young children have sugar rush problems from parties and whatever. And, you know, I think all mothers will agree that it really, really affects their behavior badly. If you ask most adults about going without their coffee fix in the morning, it just won't happen. It's a food-mood connection. And there have been a lot of scientific researches done, and some say it's vitamin D3, and others blame bad fat and refined foods, and the list goes on. But basically, it's back to what we talk of so much, and that is plugging dietary gaps. And if we have a look at all the studies conclude that in brain, behavioral, and immunity issues, they're all associated with an unhealthy diet. Mothers all agree that if their children behave very badly on a high sugar intake at parties, and yet some still keep their children permanently like that, allowing them to have their fizzy cool drinks and that every day. A glass of Coke, and this is a research that was done in South Africa decades ago, and I've often used it. A glass of Coke has the same effect on a 9-year-old child as 9 strong coffees has on an adult man. And so, you know, you let your kids drink all this rubbish, and that is how they actually are feeling inside. It's not good. So if you've ever buried your sorrows in a bowl of pasta or your chocolate, what you might want to indulge in, to cheer you up, you're living proof of that food-mood connection. For a lot of people, it seems like a natural thing to just turn to food in a mental distress or in some stress way. And if we think about ways foods and beverages affect our mood and behavior in adults, and even in the short term, just drink enough coffee and you can count on a quick fix. But you drink 1 too many coffees and you're in for, you know, some people go dizzy, some people shake. A lot of people eat bread. If they eat bread at lunchtime, they actually start falling asleep in the afternoon. So there's such a food-mood connect there. And I think the more aware we make parents, the easier it's going to be on our children. But scientists tell us that feeling good after we eat comfort food, which is not the best food for ourselves, our memories know how we feel, and they automatically attract us back to this comfort food. Whenever we maybe go into a restaurant, we look for comfort food. When we're buying food, we look for comfort food because that's what our brain's telling us that we want. And so we really need to discipline ourselves, if we're that way inclined, to food choices. And eating habits are formed, and if they're bad habits, they're really difficult to change. So bringing it back to children, if they grow up on a relatively good food mood choice, that will become a good habit. And so basically our habits determine our health status, and it's a matter of just getting people to be knowledgeable on it. And so what is good for the body and the mind? Whatever is good for the body is also good for the mind. And so the scientists are saying choose fruits and vegetables over comfort food, and we'll enhance our state of mind. And why I'm sort of looking at this food and mood, there have been so many people that I've met recently suffering from depression, 50-year-olds and 60-year-olds going into dementia and Alzheimer's, and that's young. I mean, that was a disease or a state of mind that was reserved for way into 80s, and it's getting younger and younger. I heard of a 40-year-old who had been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and it's scary. It is just decimating families. And so they say from belly to brain. And there's roughly, and I find this amazing, there are 100 billion neurons in the brain and about 100 trillion bacteria in the gut. And they are talking to each other all the time. And research refers to the biochemical signaling taking place between the gut microbiome and the central nervous system. And it's changing the way some of the medical world are even approaching medical health now, or mental health now. And they talk about frequent consumption of fermented foods, like your yogurts and your sauerkraut and your miso soup and, all pickles and that. And fermented foods are just full of probiotics. So, we have the best probiotics, the best available to our gut. And so we just know that that is the first place we've got to get right to maintain our brain functioning at full tilt. And then it says here, probiotics affect the gut-brain axis and have a big role in mental health. The gut becomes less leaky, inflammation is reduced, and the chance of our brain surviving are good. In a very real sense, then, calming the gut calms the mind. And we can start from pregnancy with that little fetus. The dietary fats have become a very big thing in the brain functioning. And and we all know this, but it's good to be reminded that the deadly ones are trans fats, which we've got to look at labels very seriously. Trans fats will create one of the, there's a whole list of stuff, but we're talking about the brain. Alzheimer's, they put it fair and square down to trans fats. And they've been specifically linked to depression, aggression, and poor cognitive function. And then the saturated fats are a little bit better, but they promote neuroinflammation and negatively alter the gut microbiome. And then the good fats, which you've got your monosaturated fats from your avos and olive oil and your omega-3s and that, they have a positive effect on the brain health and mood regulation. And so the diet rich in omega-3s, as we know, lower depression and mood swings. People who have massive depressive disorders show levels, very, very low levels of the omega-3. Clinical trials have found that omega-3 supplementation had a significant clinical benefit for those with depressive disorders and bipolar disorder. And pregnancy and depression with pregnancy is linked to depression with if the mother has too little omega-3 in her body, for the child and for the mother. And if the mother is depressed and has a very somber mood and deals with that newborn baby for the first 2 years of its life, they say that it will badly influence that baby as far as social skills and emotions are concerned. And so, really it affects the whole family if we don't get good food habits and get our eating in order. And it brings us all back to the eating triangle, the Mediterranean diet with lots of fruits and veggies, and some fish and chicken and what we always say, you know, whole grains and olive oil and that sort of thing. Straight back to the Mediterranean diet. And then, of course, I'm not even going to go into it, but our whole endocrine glandular system is very, very involved in our emotions. And we know that our cleaning products play a huge part in that, in washing our fruit and veggies. And it's just amazing. We've got everything that these scientific tests have spoken about, what will help us maintain a good brain and help our children develop to their greatest potential. So that's just what I wanted to share with you. We all know it, but sometimes it's good to be reminded about it. Thanks.